Good evening, good evening. Welcome back to another episode of the Empower Her Talk Show. You guys, I hope you guys are having a great Thursday. I am your host, Coach Salita, and I want to thank each and every one of you guys who tune into this show. I'm hoping the information that I'm bringing you guys are actually enjoying it. Um, so much has changed since so much stuff is going on, so many different situations are taking place, so much going on. And so I just know that this is my time when I can definitely be myself and do what I love doing. And that's giving and informing and sharing things with you guys. Okay. I want to do a couple of things first before we actually get into the show tonight. I want to thank AOC. I want to thank Cox Cable. I want to thank uh, LUS for this opportunity to bring you guys this great information. You guys, like I said before, you guys can hit me up on you can't clip my wings at gmail.com. You can also send me an email at salitabmccall at gmail.com to kind of give me your feedback on how the show has been going. We've been on since April, and I'm kind of excited. Before you know it, it'll be a whole nother April. And I'm hoping all the information that I am sharing with you in here that you guys can use. Tonight, we're going to be talking about mental health, and we're going to be talking about not only mental health, but the tragedy of mental health, and also we're going to be talking to a young lady who her brother, um, because of mental health and because people that were working with him did not understand what he was going through, and something tragic happened. He passed away. And this is during the time that he was in the custody of the sheriff department. And it's a story, and I'll show you the video of the story before we get go into it. I'm waiting for her to come in. Um, Once she gets in here, I'm gonna let her kind of after we watch the video, I'm gonna let her kind of tell you um, what's going on, what happened with her brother, and how it has now affected her family. Okay, how are they handling everything now after all this? And it's been 11 years, and the family has not probably been the same since. So we're going to talk about the tragic end of mental health and not people not understanding how far you can go when you have a mental health episode and the things that happens when those episodes take place. Oh, so you guys, we're in the month of September, right? So remember the book. I hope you can see this. The book. Okay, put it back here like this. Okay, we finished August. We did July. Let's see. Just finished up August. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, just finished up August. Let me get back some. See with the stickers. Yeah, that would help, huh? So I'll put the little stickers on it. I want you guys to see this without it messing up. Okay, so this is the stickers for August. Okay, and I basically said I talked about my intentions. Um, I talked about making notes to myself, the things I need to do for me, making sure that I'm getting myself together for things that I need to do, my errands. So now we're into September, and I just started September. So let's see what we got here. And this is what September looks like. Let me see if I can get it to light. This is what September looks like. Can you see that? There we go. Okay, that's what September's look like. why it does that. Okay. So I have a tree with leaves falling off because we're in the fall. I got pumpkins down here. I'm just so this is really crazy there we go. Let's see. See that. Why is it coming up with the lines in it? I don't get that. Okay. So it's got the pumpkin. It's got the little lady right here. Okay. It's got time getting away, resting, because we need some of that during the wintertime for sure. And then over here we have her walking away from all the things, that she no longer has to deal with in her life. Okay. Um, hold up here. Um, so that's for excuse me, I'm trying to get this. Let's see. Um, yep. So that's what we're actually that's what we were doing. That's what this is for the month of September. Making sure to be thankful, be grateful, give back. This is a time to also share knowledge, be successful, have a purpose, be committed. Um, and one of my things is become a millionaire. That's just me. um, Also, because this is the time also for harvesting. Okay, we're talking about the harvest. So when we talk about the harvest, that means whatever you put out there, it's time to bring it in. Okay, it's time to bring it in. And how are we bringing it in? It's up to us. We have to realize what's gonna make it better for us. Sometimes, you guys, it's nothing wrong with being selfish at times. It's nothing wrong with that. Okay, don't feel bad at all if you have to have an attitude where you are at that mode of wanting to take care of yourself. How do you do it? Um, and I think some of that we probably went over. Um, but how do you do it? Through all the things that you've been through, how do you take care of yourself? How do you bring yourself to that point where, you know what, I'm tired? um, in many situations. It could be with your family, it could be with your job, it could be with a lot of different things. That you're not having that opportunity to rest or that opportunity to make sure everything is working. Okay. Um, you have to be able to have all that. And sometimes um, that could be something we don't have, you know, that could be something we we don't have that as something that we have to build it. If we don't have it, we have to build it. Let me say it to you like that. If we don't have it, we have to build it. We have to build that way of doing what we need to get done. um and sometimes it's not easy. Okay, sometimes it's not easy to do all those things. And because of that, we sometimes feel like we suffer. Okay, when we don't have to. And that a whole nother ball game in itself. So while I wait on Miss Jones to come in, I'm gonna go ahead and play the video. There we go. Wow, that is so awesome. She came in right on time. Hello, Miss Jones. How are you, ma'am?
Hello, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I was look. It was so weird because I had just said I was going to play the video while we wait for you to come in,
Uh-oh.
and you
Okay.
popped in. Wow. Okay, first, before I want to play the video, I definitely want the audience, to know who you are. Tell a little bit about yourself, and then tell a little bit about your brother, and then we'll watch the video, and then you can tell me some more about the video once we play it.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Destiny Jones. I am Robert Ricks's youngest sister, and Robert is my youngest brother, which he's been deceased for 13 years now.
Okay.
Um, Robert was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and bipolar. He was released from the psychiatric hospital on February 4th of 2011, and he passed away due to unforeseen circumstances on February 5th of 2011. He was sent home from the psychiatric hospital on a new medication and was due to go back that Monday to see how the medication was working on him. But unfortunately, he didn't make it back to see how the new medication was working out on him. Um, Robert, as a result to that new medication, he was never medically diagnosed with epilepsy or seizures. The medication effect it caused him to have a seizure, which my 88-year-old grandmother suspected him having, and she dialed 911 for medical attention. And by the time the paramedics got there, he was out of the seizure. He was confused, and he was 23 years of age. He refused medical attention, in
Mm-hmm.
which Acadian Ambulance took upon themselves to dispatch the Alexandria Police Department,
Mm-hmm.
and they came and they told my grandmother that they were going to take him to the hospital, in which they didn't. They
Mm-hmm.
began to beat and tase on him inside her home. There's audio of the beating and tasering. There's also body cam of the beating and tasering.
Mm-hmm.
um well, my grandmother thought they were taking him to the hospital because that's what they told her. We don't know how it turned from them taking him to the hospital and routing him to the parish. The only time he made it to the hospital was after they took him to the parish where they beat and tasered him to death. In which we had neighbors that was outside my grandmother's home that wrote statements saying that he was screaming and hollering, saying, "Grandma, please go with me. They're gonna kill me." And that is exactly what happened.
Yeah. 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 Wow. So we're gonna play the video real quick, you guys. So give me a second here.
And now we go to an investigation into the death of a suspect who was in Alexandria police custody.
The case is already drawing the attention of the NCAA, who just hours ago held a press conference at the steps of City Hall. News Channel 5's RT Morgan is now live in the studio with the latest. RT?
Dale Joy, a family is looking for answers tonight following the Saturday night death of 23-year-old Robert Ricks. Here's what we know right now. Rick's grandmother, Maxine Jones, called 911 Saturday night because her grandson was having seizures. EMS arrived at her house, but Jones says they refused to take Ricks. Officers with APD arrived a few minutes later and took Ricks into custody. And at some point while in custody, Ricks was tased, a fact confirmed by Louisiana State Police. According to Louisiana State Police, Ricks collapsed in his cell. He was eventually taken to Rapides Regional Hospital and pronounced dead. And that's all we know at this point, because the city of Alexandria is not talking. They're not even talking to members of the city council. Have you talked to anybody with APD?
No, I haven't.
Mayor Roy's office?
No, I haven't.
No one's been in contact with you
No.
about this death in your district?
No. But I am asking questions.
Are you getting any answers?
No.
Mr. Goins sent me a text Monday night. And before that, I had no idea. The mayor, the police chief did not call us or even tell us what's going on. I'm very shocked because if there's a death, at least we need to know.
Dale Joy Ricks' grandmother and brother described Ricks as a nonviolent individual. However, earlier in the week, Robert Ricks was discharged from Crossroads Regional Hospital, where he's being treated for an unknown mental illness, a fact his grandmother says she told officers several times. Again, Dale and Joy, the facts are limited because neither APD nor the city of Alexandria are talking. So we're left with a dead man who was tased, an angry and confused family, and an investigation by the Louisiana State Police. We won't know the exact cause of death until the coroner's report is released, and that could take up to 6 weeks to complete. Joy, Dale.
All right, R.T. Morgan, thank you for that. We know you keep an eye on that.
Mhm. Yep. So we're gonna stop it right there. Um, um, Ms. Jones, I know this is probably very disheartening for you to watch that again, because even when I watched it again, I felt it. Um, and there's so many things in this video that doesn't make sense. And I want to say thank you to the person who got this video. Um, Thank you for the work that they've done. And not on, not only does this, not only does Robert Ricks deserves justice, the family deserves justice. Robert Ricks should have been taken to the mental health hospital. He should have been taken to Central, or he should have been taken to any mental health facility in the Alexandria. We live in Alexandria, Louisiana. Let me clarify where this halt took place. This happened in showed in the video in Alexandria, Louisiana. Because I don't want people to get it mixed up with Alexandria, Georgia, Alexandria, um, Virginia. This was in Louisiana. And right to this day, if you saw the video, Mark Woods is actually our sheriff right at this very moment. He is the sheriff of Rapides Parish, which we have parishes here. Well, you guys know because we're in Lafayette. We have parishes here for those who look at this and is not from this area. What you guys consider counties, we call them parishes. So he is actually our sheriff right at this very moment, and has been for the last 2 years, about 2 or 3 years, Destiny, or did he just
That's
get in office?
that's correct.
Okay. So I'm very curious about this excited delirium that they said that they have been using against Black and brown people when it comes to police custody. Um, I had never heard of it until I actually seen it on the video. Are you familiar with this?
No, ma'am. But what I am familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
after stuttering, several different taser deaths in
Yeah.
custody deaths, I noticed there's a pattern of
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna either say a person resisted, or they had drugs in their system or alcohol in their system after being tased in custody. And that is something that Taser International schooled law enforcement on to
Mm-hmm.
justify the tasering of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And back
Um,
then in 2011,
mm-hmm.
at that time, it was two different tasers that was used on Robert. They
Wow.
used the drive stun one where you actually have to touch the body with it to
Mm-hmm.
tase, and they
Mm-hmm.
also used their one with the chip. And every time they hit the trigger, you're gonna feel it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In which those have to be removed by medical personnel. The chip,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
Wow. So, and this is why it's so important now. I don't know if all um, police departments are doing it, but I know they're taking with them a mental health person whenever they have these kind of calls, and so that that mental health person can help them and guide the police. Not, I'm not saying here. I'm saying I know in some states have taken on the task of adding them to their crew whenever they have these type of episodes. When you were dealing with a mental health person. Now, how long had Mr. Ricks been diagnosed? I mean, how long had he been having these how long has he been in mental illness? Let me say it from that way. Schizophrenia
um Robert,
diagnosed, I guess.
prior to prior to 2011, Robert had he had only been back in Louisiana for not even a good 2 years.
Uh-huh.
Robert was living out in California, and he came back home for a brief moment, to
Mhm.
visit with family. And Robert Robert had been diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia, but he was just as normal as you and I. You wouldn't
Yeah.
know he suffered. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people that suffer with mental illness, and you would never
You
know
never
unless
know.
that person tells you. Because he was
Exactly.
just as normal. He took his medication, and
Hmm.
he didn't bother nobody. He was, Robert was like a big teddy bear. He was a loving and caring person. He
Hmm.
was not harmful. He would give you the shirt off his back. And,
Hmm.
it's just still leaving us puzzled because, he wasn't having no mental episode. This
Uh-huh.
was a medical call, and he
Yes.
had every right to refuse medical attention.
Hmm.
They didn't even have an arrest record. What was he arrested for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Y'all forced
Yeah.
him against his rights and told my grandmother y'all were taking him to the hospital, and y'all transported him to the
To
parish, and
Paris
y'all
jail.
did what y'all wanted to do. And the
Yeah.
Acadian ambulance transported a dead man from the
Hmm.
jail to the hospital because they didn't want it to be known that he died under there because they didn't have an arrest record. So there was another thing that was questionable. What were you arresting him on?
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
have to dispatch calls with my 88-year grandmother specifically saying, she
Hmm.
had a grandson there that needed medical attention. She observed him having a seizure, which he didn't
Hmm.
have a medical diagnosis of epilepsy ever in life. So it was,
Hmm.
it was a reaction to the new medication he was sent home on.
Hmm.
Robert was even going through outpatient. He had outpatient services where he attended group on a
Hmm.
daily basis.
Hmm.
So his mental illness was very well,
Hmm.
intact and taken care of. And when you're on psychotropic medications, your heart is already going at a certain rhythm.
That's
So
right.
with them tasering him, that is the electric voltage going in your body. Robert
Hmm.
had a metal plate in his head from a car wreck we had back in 2000. So of course, with that voltage going in his body, he's on
Yeah.
psychotropic medications. His
Wow.
heart didn't know whether to, speed up or
Hmm.
slow down.
Hmm.
As well as Robert was a organ donor,
Yeah.
and that is how we even found out that he was tased. Medical personnel didn't even, inform us that my brother was tased. He was pronounced dead at 12:13 a.m. Remind
Hmm.
you, this 911 call was taking place at 10 p.m. at night. So
Yeah.
that they had a 2-hour time frame. We got
Hmm.
calls from the parish, people reaching out to the family saying how they taser Robert in his cell for at least over a of an hour.
Wow.
And
Wow.
if you notice on the video when they packing him, if he was shackled and
Yeah.
handcuffed. So what harm was he doing to
He's
y'all?
doing.
And if
That's right.
somebody is already on psychotropic medication, they telling you about their breathing. They never was supposed to place him face down on no floor for one.
Nope.
And y'all really couldn't see in the video on there, but I
Hmm.
have full footage of the video. But you will see that deputy that's standing in the hallway with the glasses. That's Deputy Burnett. He hadn't even been trained yet to taser. He was the last one to taser Robert above his kidneys. And Robert, when y'all see that they are packing him, actually,
Hmm.
when Mark Wood kicked him in the shoulder, for whatever reason, he couldn't do nobody no harm. He wasn't given a struggle. His head was limp. They
Yeah.
were they were packing dead weight. He was dead when they packed him in that cell. So
Exactly.
that when they, of course they was looking and turning their head in the cell because he was dead. That
Hmm.
was that was for front in front of the, that was for show in front of the camera in the hallway.
Hmm.
He was
Hmm.
dead. His
Now,
last time breathing was when he was tased above his kidney in that hallway.
exactly. Exactly. So I noticed in the video. So the guy who was standing when they were taking him out and they had already put him on the stretcher, the guy, the police officer that was standing with the blue on, was that the one that was inside the cell with Mark Woods?
That's correct. The big tall one. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Now I don't know if
Still,
you go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if you noticed how he looked up at the camera. Did you see
Yeah, he
all?
looked at it. He looked up at the camera because they
He put
all
his
were.
hand.
They were
Yeah,
all in shock that, excuse my language, oh shit, we got a dead man on our hands. They're in shock. Of course you in shock because of after all the actions y'all taking. If you
yeah.
notice when they got off the elevator and they was packing him in, my brother head was limped in. There's no telling what they did to him on the elevator on the way up. It was several
Exactly.
officers
Yes.
that stood by. They, some of them wrote what actually truly happened. And I
Mm-hmm.
thank the two that actually really wrote what happened. And they
Mm-hmm.
did not bag out. And some of them, they lied. Their
Mm-hmm.
stories didn't match up. The timing didn't match
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And Mark Wood was a deputy then. We had no
Mm-hmm.
clue that this corrupt, racist man was even involved in the murder of my brother. We didn't
Exactly.
find all of this out until after this video was surfaced and new evidence came out. A lot of the evidence was hidden when we
Mm-hmm.
went to court up against Taser International. Point blank,
Exactly.
period. It was some paying, people being paid off is what was done. The attorney sold out on the case. Cara Paul Lexon, the one that did Gina's 6 case, she's
Oh yeah.
not a good civil rights attorney.
Yeah.
She's not. She will sell out for whatever amount of money that she can. And we only trusted her due to she did good with the Gina 6 case. She sold out on my brother case and knowing that it
Exactly.
was evidence. We had attorney from California. We had heart specialists from California flew in and she told them that they didn't have to testify, that they can fly back and they will still be paid. We had an expert on my brother case. He
Mm-hmm.
did his report. He showed his findings. And this guy previously worked for Taser International,
Mm-hmm.
which I have an updated report from this same expert on Robert's case. And what
Mm-hmm.
they fail to realize in the state of Louisiana, there's no statute of limitation
On
on
murder.
rape, legal murder.
Yep.
So, what wasn't justified then will be justified now. His life was taken unexpectedly. And not only that, it was 2 lives that was taken. My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother grew herself to death,
Yes.
beating herself up because she tried to get her grandson medical attention. And they
Exactly.
lied to her.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
And
and
they
so
lied on her.
yeah, the whole thing. And when we look at that, the impact it has not only on the family, I said family, but also the community, because as it was saying, there was witnesses. You said that there were witnesses that could write statements that knew what happened, but they refused to talk to them. So that impacts them too as well. You Whenever something like that happens, that impacts everybody who was involved directly or indirectly. It did some.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
Also, not to cut you off, also due
Yeah.
to the fact that it was APD officers and sheriff department officers involved, Louisiana State Police had to step in and do the investigation. Where
Mm-hmm.
the investigator that they gave Robert Case to investigate, which was Melissa Welch, she was previously employed with the Rapides Parish Sheriff Department six
Wow.
months prior to her employment with Louisiana State Police, in which her husband was employed at the Rapides Parish Sheriff Department in 2011 during Robert's murder and still works there to this day. So that was an interest, a conflict of interest right
Interest.
there
Definitely.
because she's previously worked there. So why would you
Mhm.
give her this case to investigate when she's 6 months prior and it was a lot of stuff that was hidden?
Yeah.
And we just we want justice for
Mhm.
Rob. Robert deserves justice. He didn't deserve for his life to be taken.
Mhm.
I can see if it was something he had done to cause himself to be in that situation. He
Mhm.
he was very innocent. He didn't do nothing but decline medical attention. And of course,
Mhm.
when you're dealing with someone with mental illness, that's the field of
Mhm.
work that I work in. It's a certain approach you supposed to take
That's
with
right.
them. It's a certain approach, and you had one officer that knew that these medications were psychotropic medications.
Mm-hmm.
So, he did state in his statement, and he was the one that informed them that my brother eyes were glossy and he was not breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Acadian ambulance report, his breathing was unremarkable. Pupils undilated. Y'all transported a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
And what we know, and listening audience is not familiar with what she's saying, is we know this to be a pattern with the ambulance and the hospital and the jail. Whenever somebody dies, a person usually dies in the jail. They don't want it to be on the jail, so they say that they died at the hospital. They give them a time that they died, when a lots of times those people, most of the time victims of these type of abuse, they die in the jail cell. They don't die on their way to the hospital. But that is what
Or Acadian ambulance is known for writing up reports saying a
happened
person died en route.
in
They're
and it's
very
not
famous
true.
for doing that, and that's not true. The person was already deceased.
Exactly. You mentioned Carol Powell Lexington, and you mentioned the Gina Six. After the Gina Six situation, she was also on the case with Mayor Thompson of Jonesboro. She was his lawyer, um, and it's the same pattern of
Mhm.
how she handles stuff. Yeah, and I'm talking from the activist side of me of actually working kind of or supporting Mr. Mayor Thompson during that time. And I sat in the courtroom and she was his lawyer, and a lot of stuff that was being done was, and they, later found out that, yeah, it was some stuff that was not, should not had happened in that case either. So I guess you just learn. You learn from a lot of situations. You either learn or you're going to allow yourself to continue being in that situation with those certain people.
Right.
Because we think they're the people that we're supposed to run to, when reality is they're not. But we don't know that
Right.
until we actually, run to them. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So that is, so my question now is, so what are you guys doing? Um, how is the case going down? Are you guys still pursuing
Yes,
justice?
we are pursuing justice. We are moving in another
Yeah.
direction, and we are going to get justice this time. We have to keep the faith in God, and I mean, God is the God that sit high and He looks
Looks
low.
low.
And
Mm-hmm.
I thank the person that released this footage, and this footage
Mm-hmm.
was released after a young white man by the name of Andrew Miles, which was the age of 23 at the time. He was
Mm-hmm.
stumped to death. He was put in a cell, handcuffed, first of all. They
Mm-hmm.
had no business even putting him in the cell because his bond was already posted. Why did they keep him 2 hours extra? We have no clue. But they
Yeah.
kept him 2 hours extra, put him in the cell,
Mm-hmm.
handcuffed around other inmates that was unhandcuffed. And it had a young man in there that had a history of seizures. He came out of the seizures and supposedly, well, not supposedly, allegedly, he went after this handcuffed young man and stumped
Mm-hmm.
this boy to death in that cell.
Mm-hmm.
And after that happened, this video was leaked all online, and we had been asking for this video footage for years. We wanted to know what went on behind those walls of the
Mm-hmm.
Rapid Parish Jail. Like we still have that question: what happened? Because
Yeah.
this was a medical call. Y'all
It
had
should
no
be.
right
Yeah.
in arresting him. Y'all should have taken y'all could have took him back if y'all feel like y'all thought he was having a mental episode. What y'all could have
Yeah.
drove him. First of all, you supposed to take them to the emergency room to get a
Mhm.
medical clearance, and
That's
then
right.
y'all transported him right back to Longleaf, which was
Yep.
formerly known of Crossroads Hospital,
Crossroads.
which
That's
now is
right.
called Longleaf. And
Yeah.
that's how that procedure supposed to have went if y'all
Mhm.
suspected that he was having a mental episode, in which he wasn't. In no given moment in that video, he gave a struggle because what I don't know what anybody else eyes saw, but it appears to me that he fell. I didn't see no struggle that he gave. I saw where he fell and he could have been having another seizure or something and they standing over him. But after that, we see that he's handcuffed and hogtied. So what bodily harm could he have done to neither
Yeah.
one of those officers to deserve the treatment that they gave him and placing him face down, not allowing him to sit up to even be able to sustain breathing?
Yeah, because the way they pulled him out the car, the struggle they were having with him in the car, that's kind of
He was
suspect.
afraid to get out. He was afraid. He's trying to figure out what he did. He didn't do anything. But
And
I
that's
can tell
anybody.
you his chest was burnt up from taser marks. His
Hmm.
chest was burnt up. He could not donate an organ, no cornea, no skin grafts due to the way
His
due
body.
to the way he died. They could not, his body could not be touched at all.
So how many taser marks did they find on him?
It was, I don't want to give you the wrong number, but he
But was
was
it more than
tased.
one?
Oh yes, ma'am. It was more. I'm gonna say it was more than seven. It was more than seven. He was tased. He was tased several times. Several times. Drive stun in the chip one. Yes,
Wow,
ma'am.
that is
He was tased.
crazy.
So put it like this: he went out executed style. Remind you having a metal plate in his head. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically probably burned him from inside out, actually, if you want to think
His
about it.
body temperature. Oh my God. I'm trying to think what his autopsy was performed on that Monday and his body temperature was still high. So his body was on fire. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And also, we had a second autopsy done outside of
Mhm.
their autopsy. The autopsy report came back that he had an enlarged heart, which he was never diagnosed with an enlarged heart. And they said, due to resisting arrest and excited delirium and cocaine intoxicity. Robert never had, remind you, he just had got out of the psychiatric hospital and they do a drug clearance on you. Robert
Yeah.
had no drugs in his system. The second autopsy report that we had done
Hmm.
outside of there, nothing in his system but his prescribed medications, which were those psychotropic medications. Seroquel, Benadryl was a sleep aid. That's all he had in his system.
That's so weird because you guys have to understand lots of times foreigners are going to put down what the police department said to put down. That I know for sure because of another case that I worked on. They literally will put down whatever the police department says. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
And
they
so
say
that's what's
you had
crazy
cocaine,
because they tried to defame him like
yeah,
he was just this animal acting in circus and he was a human being. At the end of the day,
yeah,
you took somebody's son, you took somebody's grandson, you took somebody's child, my brother,
yeah,
and they get to go home to their family at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I noticed too when I was looking at the video that I, maybe it was a shock look, but the look I was getting was here's another one. That
Yeah,
that's what I got out of the look that I
yeah.
was kind of catching with them is that here's another one. I think some of them were shocked. Um, remember
I
when,
noticed with Deputy Mark Wood, he had this fearful look because you catch him looking at the camera. He
okay,
didn't, it was unexpected. He
yeah,
thought, you can, to me, what I got from Mark Wood looked like this was a pattern of them doing that, but
yes,
oh
yes,
shit, I'm scared. I'm scared
yes,
now because we have a body on our hands. I didn't
yes,
know it was going to get to that point. That's the look he had on his face. And I
yeah.
don't know how, I don't know how he can sleep at night knowing you took this boy life. You took his life.
But think
And
about it
to
like
be the
this.
current sheriff right now, I
Hmm.
would be just scared to, for any of my family members to, get in any type of trouble. Sometimes
Hmm.
people could be in the wrong place in the wrong time and get arrested and be there
Yeah,
because they treat those people up there like animals.
yeah.
And it's not right. And that's a veterinarian. A veterinarian don't know how to treat no darn human beings. That a
Wait a
veterinarian is
minute.
for animals.
Wait a minute. Who's a veterinarian?
At the parish, they do not have a doctor up there. That is a veterinarian that treats these inmates up there. Yes, ma'am.
Wait a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Back then in 2011, yes, ma'am. There was a veterinarian, not a doctor.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. You said that they had a veterinarian as a doctor
At
in
the Rapid
2011 at the
Parish
Rapid Parish.
Jailhouse in 2011. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I got to
It's
keep my
ridiculous.
composure.
It's ridiculous because I'm like a veterinarian.
Uh,
Even one of the officers put in his statement that he started to administer. He went to get his bag from his unit and he went to administer a IV on Robert. What we don't know what you probably could have injected in him. You wasn't a medical person there.
so
You
what
see
was
what I'm
it?
saying? In the cell, like it's a lot of
So he
I
was
don't
just going to
see.
play doctor. That's what he was planning on
Right.
doing, playing doctor. Oh my
Right.
God.
He,
Oh,
he he's not no baby doll that you play
yeah.
with. This is a human being. So we don't
Mm.
know what they could have possibly injected in him. Why wasn't medical personnel called right away? The hospital is not even a minute away
Away from
from
that's
the
right.
Rapid Parish Courthouse.
That's right. And the ideal that I'm wondering when did they call the ambulance? Because the ambulance. So let me ask you this real quick. Um, so when your grandmother called the ambulance, so the ambulance should have followed them to the jailhouse, right?
They Acadian ambulance once Robert refused medical attention, he signed and refused it.
Okay.
Acadian ambulance, the paramedics is the one
Left.
that took upon themselves to dispatch APD. So that's where they should be held liable because what was he doing?
Yeah.
Y'all dispatched APD and y'all left. Y'all left. What if
Exactly.
something would have happened to him right there in the home where they
That's right.
began to
And they
beat and
needed
tase
medical
him
help.
with?
So they should have stayed around a little bit longer if they didn't have
And,
any more emergency calls to see what happened. If they really
and which
needed to
they
be there.
didn't. They didn't. They dispatched APD and APD showed up. They had 5 carloads of law enforcement, APD, at my grandmother's house. And what a lot of people don't know is my Robert had a girlfriend at the time, and my oldest brother in the military, he was on the phone. Everybody was worried because my grandma was very well known. Robert was very well known in that area, and they was trying to figure out what was going on. And law enforcement entered my grandmother home through her back door. We don't
Wow.
even know
Why
what
they didn't do the back door.
why they even did that. They entered her home through her back door, and my oldest brother spoke with Robert, and he said, Robert, what's going on? Why the police there? And
Mhm.
he said, Lawrence, I don't know why they're here. He said, I took my medicine and I'm
Mhm.
okay. And Lawrence told Robert, he said, well, Robert, find out why they there and you call me back.
Mhm.
Well, the phone call was still going. And he's also hearing Robert saying, stop hitting me in my head. Stop hitting me. He's hearing my grandmother say, don't tase him no more. Y'all gonna kill him. And you hear an officer in the background saying, he ain't gonna die, he ain't gonna die. He's stronger than the three of us. So it's that was torture to my grandmother. She's asking you to stop hitting her grandson in the head. And this boy's on psychotropic medications. He had a metal plate in his head, and let alone y'all tasering him. There's even video footage, well, body cam footage of, Robert handcuffed on the floor. y'all throw him his clothes to put on. How can he put it on and he's handcuffed and you go to tase him? They were literally torturing him. So that is the burn marks the tasing burn marks that he had on his chest. They were literally playing with that taser like it was a fucking toy, and that was ridiculous.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Okay. Oof. I'm kind of not.
yeah,
My
yeah.
imagination is running. Um. Wow. That is so sad. So
It's
why
hurtful
did?
that he died the way that he feared of
Mhm,
dying.
exactly. Exactly. Um. Uh. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That is a lot, and definitely, you guys, if you have family members that have mental health issues and they have episodes, be careful who you call. Okay, just be careful of who you call, because a lot of these police departments are not trained in dealing with mental health issues at all. And that's why I said some places they have mental health counselors or advocates that go along with them on their rides whenever they go through these different episodes. I mean, when they go to these different calls. I don't know how Alexandria, I don't know how Rapides Parish is set up. Do they have that? If they don't, they need to have it. Okay.
They supposed to have a crisis intervention
Crisis
team,
intervention. Yeah.
and back in 2011, they didn't even have one of those
Mm.
organized. So they can't even begin to lie to say that they
That they
did.
have.
This
Yeah.
was something that came into place like a couple years later after this happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So they do have one. They have a crisis
They
intervention.
supposed to have one as of now, but of course we know there's a difference between, black and brown people and other color people. You're gonna get total opposite treatment. Had that
Mhm.
been little Tim, they would
Mhm.
have gave him a blanket, and they would have babyfied him and all of that. But just because, this was a young black guy, Robert was 6'2", he was tall, you
Mhm.
know, y'all thought y'all just could go in and handle him. And he was very fearful of law enforcement. My brother, he was law enforcement inside the military.
Yeah.
And like you say, when he spoke with Robert was calm as he's ever been around
Mhm.
law enforcement. So it's a lot of unanswered questions. And with that video surfacing,
Yeah.
it's a wound that'll never heal, but
Yeah.
it just
That's right.
reopened it. It just
That's
reopened it. It's like
that's it.
living it all over again.
I apologize, but I know your story needs to be told on more than one platform. And having this platform, I'm so glad that I was able to do this with you. I didn't mean to bring up any bad memories, but I think
Oh no, you didn't do no harm. It wasn't no harm against you. I'm saying, with that video
yeah, it
surfacing that
did.
we never
It even did
laid
something to
eyes
me
on. Yeah.
because I had seen the video before, you guys, but seeing it again and I know Mrs. Jones' story, kind of putting it together, reading the articles about it, reading the case law on it. Yeah, it was a lot going on, and this case definitely needs to be looked at. In any case that has any semblance to this one should be looked at that has not had justice. There's so many people who have passed away that are family members of somebody who probably experienced this that never got justice. Um, and I think mental health people should have justice just like any other victim should have justice. And doesn't matter who it is, but they deserve that justice 100%.
They
Um,
do.
Ms. Jones, I want to ask you, so what are you guys what is the group that you're working with? What are you guys doing at this very moment with the case?
Currently at this very moment with Robert Case,
Hmm.
it's, it's limited details that can be released. We
Okay.
are moving in the direction the case being reopened, and we're taking it from there to make sure money cannot bring no one back, and it doesn't satisfy the hurt because money comes and money go.
That's it.
We are seeking and we are fighting, and we're gonna fight to the end. Indictments be handed out
Mm-hmm.
because he should not have been transported to that jailhouse. He should have been transported directly to the
To
hospital. It's like Monopoly. Do not pass go, do not collect $200.
yes,
And they bypassed the hospital and took him to the parish where they did what they did. So I do believe, my mother may still, hopefully she'll still be alive when we get this justice, but he will get justice. And I think him and my grandmother will be able to rest peacefully then because he's not resting. He wants us to know what happened. And, like I say, it's just, it's all in God's timing. And I thank whoever released that video footage. I really do.
yes, they did an excellent job with releasing that and letting everybody know what was going on. Well, Miss Jones, I want to thank you so, so much for this opportunity to talk about your brother and talk about mental health and how important that we pay attention to it, and that we pay attention, especially when they're in around the law enforcement. Definitely pay attention to it because this is a story that's been told more than once, and justice definitely needs to be taken place, and you guys deserve justice in this case. And like any other case, like you were talking about the young man named Andrew Miles, them putting him handcuffed in a cell with somebody that probably shouldn't even been in the cell with that young man. He shouldn't even
Right.
been in the same area um, with that young man. So this is like these events are happening all the time, and a lot of them are being quiet and they're swept under the rug. But your case, this right here, never should be swept under the rug. It should be definitely put to the forefront and being taken care of. Thank you so much for your time. Um, you have a great evening. I'm going to go ahead and let you go because I know you got to. This lady works. Um, so I know she has to get up in the morning. So I want to thank her so much for this time. And you have a great evening.
Thank
Thank you, Miss
thank
Jones.
you for having me on tonight.
You're welcome. Bye
Okay.
bye. You guys, that was Miss Jones. Like we talked about her brother. Everything that the family has been through, and she has been through a lot since then. And the idea that their grandmother passed away shortly after that situation, and she passed away with a broken heart. Um, you never get over that. Um, you never get over the ideal that someone close to you were murdered, and you never get over the ideal that they were murdered with mental health, okay, with a mental health issue, and they were murdered by someone that shouldn't even had that in their mind to do. That was murder, blatantly outright murder. Um, but I want to say, you guys, I want to thank you for this time. I hope this story will help you guys pay more attention to your family members, your friends who have mental issues. Many of us have them, and some of us have them, and we're undiagnosed. He was diagnosed. He was being taken care of. He was doing all the things that he was supposed to do. Um, and he still wound up dead. It's sad. It's a sad story, but there's many, many more stories out there just like his. I'm hoping they get justice, 100%, um, because well known they need it. They deserve it. Um, you guys check your mental. I think I did a show on that. Check your mental. Make sure you're in that because you never know what might can happen to you. Okay. Um, that's why I'm such a big advocate for mental health because not only I suffer from mental health issues myself. I don't mind saying that. Um, and yeah, how can I help you guys? Because you know why I can help you. I can help you with information because I've gone through it. I've been through some things, and you need to listen to experienced people. Okay, I'm just saying. So you guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you for hanging out with me here on the Empower Her talk show. Um, this this is so it's kind of taking me back to some stuff that I witnessed and saw and dealt with and was involved in. When I say involved in, is stories that I've involved in, because I used to do this as an activist, do these type of stories. I did investigations, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it's very disheartening. It's very, very disheartening. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to let you guys go. I want you guys to have a great evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. See you next Thursday. Thank you. Bye bye.